Good afternoon, and a warm welcome to everyone joining the event. Welcome to another episode of Your Mocha's Global Product Acers webinar, where we talk with industry thought leaders, entrepreneurs, and product professionals to break down the vision of creating a product which can impact countless users and inspire all of our learners to create the next big thing. Check out the event link below for all of our series of webinar discussions, which will help you in understanding the how to create the next meaningful product and disrupting business at the same time. So, during our webinar series, we have discussed on a wide range of topics and what strategies a successful PM needs to have, how to launch a product successfully, what should be a successful go to market strategy, and various others. So, today we discuss how data can be leveraged by product leaders on improving their product, how decisions should be influenced based on data and real time information and not gut feeling. So, for all of this, today we have Sarthak Jain, who is an associate product manager at PhonePe and who is a vociferous speaker and conducts various podcasts on a series of topics and has a huge digital content. Check out all of that content on his YouTube channel, The Sarthak Show. And with that, I welcome Sarthak.
Hey everyone! Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mocha, for having inviting me for this special podcast series. I'm delighted to be here and lay out all my experiences and learnings to the audience out there. Um, it's such an honor to be at this place and share whatever I have learned. So, just a quick intro about myself. I am working as an APM at PhonePe in team P2P. And today I will be discussing how you can leverage data in day-to-day basis and how you can improve your product, how you can create some meaningful products out there, and what kind of importance the data plays. And I will be open, since this is going to be a fun conversation around it. So I will be open to a lot of questions. I have also saved some time in the end. If you have any specific question, I will like to take there. And today we will discuss all of this story, and I hope I will get all your attention in this pen. I will try to make best use of your time here. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining in this podcast. And so starting with this part only, giving a more variety about like what I have done in the past. So I have worked as a technology analyst at ZS. So it was in the consulting space. I was working with some big pharmaceutical clients in uh, domains from as in from Euro region to US to Japan. And then I also worked as a product analyst or a product manager at various startups, from seed startups to 0 to 1 space, and so on and so forth. And currently, apart from my work at PhonePe, I'm also creating content for a lot of people out there on my YouTube channel, where I would like to discuss what about the nuances that you get to know, how you can become a product manager, how you can enter into the software industry, how you can break some barriers, what are the various career options, and so on and so forth. And in rest of the time, I'm a product evangelist. So I try to bring product thinking in lives of multiple people. I try to help them a lot, and also been a judge at a couple of hackathons. So yeah, that's all about me. So starting with today's webinar, it will be since concentrated around how you can leverage data. And since we do know that we do have data analytics or data science counterpart with us generally, or maybe occasionally as per the company's requirement, but still how you having the right set of things, you understanding data at day-to-day level, at your product level, will be very helpful. So it's more like how, as a product manager, you are you're not required to do a lot of things, but you ought to know them, because that makes more better. Like how I understand it, like say if I am working with an analytics person, it's my job to bring out the best qualities out of him, right? It's not to represent my counterpart, like to become a representative of my software developers, marketing guys, but also to bring out the best of the analytics that can the other person can bring out, how the data can be looked at, what are the metrics to be looked at, and so on and so forth. So yeah, to become a great product manager, you definitely not do not need to become a data full blown data scientist, but knowing things or two about data, how to work with them, uh, what are the KPIs to be tracked, how data can be used at various points and not, where to look at the proxy data, not if the real data is not available, what kind of cleaning is required, and how these things make major difference in your life. So yeah, this is all about that thing, and today we will work on these directions as well, like not going too much deep into data, but how simple things that can be leveraged to become and move in that direction. uh, yeah. So what is like product management, and like why it is matter, like why do analytics matter, or what I am sure that you must have heard a couple of times about data driven product management. Like what does that exactly mean? Like I'm sure like everybody start saying that take data driven decisions or use data to drive your decisions, but they don't really touch the core part of it, like what kind of data to be tracked, how to derive decisions from data. So uh, I could have a lot of data on my product at any day, but what is that meaningful data, how to draw insights out of it, what kind of correlations can be observed, what kind of different things can be observed, and such insights, and what kind of action to be taken. Because at the end of the day, you are not required to just only look at the data, but also derive the insights and take actionables around them. That is the key part, right? This data, observing data is not sufficient. You have to understand or find out the actionables around it. You have to move in that direction that can give you much more clarity, much more, whatever the thing that you are doing on your hypothesis or anything. The data gives you that seal, the stamp of approval, right? So that is the understanding behind it. If I have to say, like a very bookish kind of a language is, again, what I've mentioned in the slide, a data driven product is one that is backed up by data. Again, what kind of data? The data which is available in real world, how users are behaving, how users are using it, or what users are actually asking for. Whatever the data is there out there, just using that real world information, convert into something meaningful, into some kind of an actionable. That is the core idea of it. That is why it is very important, because whatever product you are building, whoever the user you are targeting, the idea is to target the users with their core essence, uh, make the best out of it. The product should be solving the right problem. So, to ask the right questions, to know what kind of answers I am looking for, to know what kind of my product should shape into, you need to have all kinds of data. It could be any user funnel or user research study or anything else. But that is why this is the thing. And why this has become a norm out there to take decision based on data, because personally I feel that uh, data is that single source of truth, right? So if you are in a conflict with a person and there are multiple hypotheses on the table, how do you identify which hypothesis makes more sense? How do you identify which hypothesis will give you more results, more yield, more of whatever you are seeking for? It could be customer acquisition, it could be customer retention. So for all these things, you need data, right? It could be possible that you have found the data, you are looking at the right direction, and you have got the right sense, and you are lucky so that you have got some data right away. But it could be provided that you do not directly cannot access it. It is the data that is available with one of your competitors, or it is the data that is restricted by government or any of the facilities, or it is not staggered, or I would say uh, actually it's staggered and it is not standardized across industry. That's why you have to take a look at proxy data. So people nowadays, what they do is they try to look and find the proxy data as well. So that's also important. So where to look at the real data, where to save the effort and look at the proxy data. These are the things that are part of being a data driven product manager, or maybe taking decisions based on data. I am quite like sorry to say that, but it's going to be quite a lot of times I would be speaking more around the data thing. But yeah, there are a lot of different things that can be looked while taking a decision. But for the sake of this discussion only, we are focusing more on the data part of it. So yeah, uh, that's there. We will be discussing where to take that gut feeling, or where to take what kind of things are there. So a lot of different things are covered in the slides, how to identify what are the things to be tracked, and so on and so forth. So yeah, moving forward, The next question is how to become one, right? So you should be a data driven product manager, but how you can become one, right? It's kind of simple. So how you can become one? You have to look at data and take decision based on that. It has to be a decision which is derived and supporting your hypothesis, supporting the data that is coming in. So whatever the data that you are thinking, that you are seeing in front of you, that you are getting right now, how the data calculated, what is the source of the data, that has to be first part of it. And then how are the decisions that are shaping up to it, what kind of insights you are drawing. It could be something what conversion rate differences, it could be anything else, right? And as a product manager, what I do on daily routine is I check at the analytics. So there are a couple of analytics report coming on the daily basis for previous days result or previous months or last 24 rolling hours or so and so forth. So I have made a habit and I have blocks that 15 minutes, 30 minutes in my calendar every day to look at just at the data. If I can find an anomaly, if I can find a point which would give me some good idea to explore, if there is anything that can be looked at the funnel level, which where an improvement can be done, or where I could use my minds into it, or I could see how yesterday's news and events had affected my data. So let's say some new decision has come from government, some international event is happening, some global level things or circumstances has happened, maybe something has happened internally or maybe at some demographic level, how these things at this scale are shaping up to and affecting my results in a way. So that's why I have to keep a daily check on it. That's why it is required, what at least where I start with the day, I not only look at my mails from yesterday, I also look at the data that I have got from yesterday. And I proactively ask my analytics team to send me daily reports on these things. I know these are the things and these are the metrics that I want to track on daily basis. That's why I take decision on the. And since, as I mentioned earlier, I'm coming from a consultancy space, I'm coming from a technology analyst space where kind of very strategic decisions were to be made. And since I was taking decisions for Euro region or US region or Japan, I was never there. I was never part of their culture. I was not at the ground. But since I had data, I can draw up some conclusion based on that. So that is the thing, that you don't have to actually present at the level, you don't have to be part of that whole flow or process or part of that product market as well. You just need data, understand them carefully, and take decision on based on that, right? So how you can have more informed product decision? Again, this comes with a caveat that the data should be very clear, it should be reliable. Why I meant to be reliable? Because there could be 10 different sources of data, how they have sourced the information, what kind of accuracy they have done, how much cleaner data is available or structured data is available to take decisions out of it. So I have heard people doing some user research studies, but all, most of the things, people in their younger years try to add some leading questions in their user researches, and that data becomes irrelevant, or that data is does not give you actionables, because every time you put a leading question, the answer is going to be yes or yeah or maybe yes, no. It does not give you actionables around it, right? So that's why you need reliable data source, and that is very with a very clear objective to find the real outcome. Cool. And how do you think about it? So generally, let's say a new feature has come to my mind, or new improvement, or anything around my product. I The things that generally come to my mind is that I don't start putting it out there in the minds of my developers, or maybe senior stakeholders, or maybe designers, that this is what I'm thinking. I generally try to dig deep into the data, and if there any information that is supporting my hypothesis, if there is anything evidences out there that is in correlation with what I'm thinking. So there could be a feature that you are thinking right now, and it is not it could be very possible that you are having the first mover advantage. There has never been a feature of that sort in any of the apps or a product out there of that similar thing. So you don't have the direct access to the data. That's where you have to look at the proxy level of informations, that do actually users are facing this kind of an issue? Is this product or is this kind of philosophy or funnel or flow is going to solve with that kind of a problem? And that's when the things start kicking in, because as soon as I have some relevant information with me, I have those crunched numbers with me, I can easily go up to my leaders, I can easily convince them, because it's one thing to convince them, it's one thing to act upon it. I may not able to act upon it because of n number of reasons. It could be constraints on number of things, reliability, feasibility, constraint on, let's say, bandwidth, or maybe not enough uh, not enough I would say uh, things to work around with it. Let's say it's more like a start to end product and you cannot do any further things on that, right? It could be one of these things, right? But I will be still able to convince them this is a hypothesis that I have come up with, and I have a data that is supporting this, that is backing up that hypothesis. And that is a big part of it, because even after 10 such decisions, you come up with an 11th theory that is right based out of your gut. At the end of the day, people will know their that gut feeling might have also come out of with some data, with some past experiences as well, but it has to be backed up by some data, right? You had some theory in my mind, but you cannot just simply say just purely gut feeling, because you know some things, you know some correlated data that is shaping at that gut feeling, right? And whatever things we do in right away, starting from your personal life, not at all at professional life, but in your personal life, things are in such a way that are taken on. So whatever groceries that you're shopping, whatever app that you're using right now, how much time you're spending, how things have worked, since you are in this field, you will always try to look at those numbers. You cannot just simply ignore those numbers. And that's how I have become right now. I look at some numbers and my brain starts some background calculations around it, just out of curiosity, just to know how things are working. Let's say I have put some items in my grocery bag. I am standing at the line of the billing counter. I will be still doing some crunches on the numbers, how things are working and how I could shape around it. Yeah. So yeah, again, collect data. It could be you collecting the data, or it could be some other person collecting on your behalf, or some other agency that is collecting on your behalf, or it could be something that the data is always present with your DB, but just you are collating it into some meaningful way. So any kind of that thing, but collecting is important, because at the end of the day, if you don't have data, you cannot derive insights out of something out of a thin air, right? So you need to first collect the data. You have to uh, move about privacies, like how you can get the data without hurting anybody's privacy, how you can collect that information in most efficient way. You cannot like just go around and spend $1,000, or let's say a lot of money on just collecting the right set of data, because you have to be very efficient with that. What data you are exactly looking for, what the other person is providing you. It could be agency, it could be your own internal team, it could be your own customers, or whatever the requirement is. So first step is that collect data. Second is how you can derive more insights out of it. So I have data, right? I want to know how I can plot some graphs around it, how I can say see some trend lines, because some things have to be observed in that way, how things have changed over time period, right? So I wanted to see some trend lines. I also wanted to see some kind of bar graphs over there, some kind of pie chart for my market contributions and everything. And if that can be processed and given to some of the data science folks, that they can uh, bring out the tagging mechanism, that is how you drive insights out of it, right? You can refine those numbers, you can crunch those numbers. That is why the things come. So this is like the first 50% of the task. Now based on those insights, based on the data that you have got, you have to improve your products. That is the idea, right? At the end of the day, what you want to do, you wanted to improve your products. So let's say I got some funnel data. I saw that there was a 20% drop over there. Where was this drop coming from? What was the last step? How are the drops in the subsequent stages of funnel? Is drop can be attributed at distributive level or at just this step of the funnel? Is this drop directly coming from a specific demographic? Is this drop can be attributed to some technical bug? That is how you can think about it, right? So how that specific number 20% is shaping up your ideas, right? You are seeing that constantly there was a 20% dip at this step of the funnel for last 30 days or last 60 days or X amount of time. Now you have the data with you. Now you have to drive actionables. How I can decrease that 20% drop? Is it this UI is not intuitive enough? Is there any other sort of friction that is causing to the person? In this step to funnel or to the final step that I am seeking for conversion, are there any too many hops and hurdles? So this is how I was thinking around it. Maybe that is the idea behind how a product manager can think more around data driven insights. What touch points to use, how to go about it, that is the core idea. Okay. So again, question is again, how does this help? So before starting with your product, it helps you get to know product viability, product kind of like, is this product even required? What are the users seeking for? What are the current existing products in the market? What kind of theories out there? What are the things that you can do easily? So let's say you want to build a product, but how to go about it? What kind of business model to apply? What things can be done over there? So these all numbers are helping in the shaping of that product viability. If that is not viable enough, if that is not feasible enough, if that has a n number of constraints, you might not start even with that product right away. So a lot of effort has been saved over there. What would happen if you have not looked at the data? You have just start building, let's say, XYZ company at for this region, and you have hired a couple of engineers, good folks from every industry, and start building the product right away and ship it to the market, and then you see it failing in the market. You could have saved all of that thing just by looking at the data prior to the product building phase. Second part, product decision making. So how I see it is a way is that what kind of MVP I have to build, what kind of scoping I can do, how the timelines can vary. So let's say uh, it's IPL season right now going in India. Everybody is excited, right? So how I can shape my product in such a way that it touches this timeline. Uh, how I can scale my product so I get this number of uh, whatever the users are getting due to this spike in the season, right? So you know that IPL season is going on. There will be a lot of users who will be doing some kind of activity online on your product. Maybe it could be primary action, it could be secondary action on your product, right? So you have to scale on the base of that. But you cannot just go away and ask your CTO or the data center folks that just scale your server to 1 to 10 right away. You have to come up with data that we are saying that we are going to see a 10x spike in the number of users or customers. Can we scale our product or like servers or count machines to 20x or 15x or something around that, because we are definitely going to see 10x spike at this moment of the time. What is the maximum TPS I'm going to hit? So this is how product decisions are shaped. And the last part bit, third part, is around user experience insights. So once my product is viable enough, I have done all the right filtration stuff, I have shipped into the market. But how users are experiencing it, how users are actually using it, what are the actual real world funnels look like, what are the actual real world experiences look like. I am facing an issue at acquisition, I am facing an issue at retention or engagement, or I am facing issue at conversion level. So what kind of things uh, I can just come up with hypotheses, but those hypotheses are coming directly from the data analytics part. If my data is strong enough, I am looking at the right set of signals, I will be able to define the user experience better. I will be able to uh, significantly drop the funnel droppages and leaks between, right? This is how things work. Uh, so moving on, what kind of data should a product manager focus on? I think that is more like an open-ended question. You cannot always look at all the data right now. You have to prioritize and think away at which stage of the product you are in. You are at the discussion or initiation phase, you are at the development phase, or are you at the prod go live phase where the product is in the market right now, users are using it, you have been seeing some good amount of customer and things around that information. So you have to know at which phase your product is in right now, and that's where you decide what kind of things you should focus upon. So for me, if I'm in the discussion phase, I would be looking at more hypothesis around it, what the current market statistics look like or market contribution look like, maybe some kind of competitive analysis I could do. Maybe if I have enough resources, I could do user researches that if this is something that they exactly want it or not. Um, I could look out at online communities, forums where there are reviews, where they share these kind of informations. So this is where I could get the data. And secondly, if the product in this development phase, as I mentioned, like you, what kind of data you have to look on. But how I have categorized it in the way is what metrics fall into which kind of part, right? So these are some very specific user level data, what demographic they're part of, age group, gender, region, uh, any other kind of information around it. That is like user data. Behavior shaping up, like is it a millennial or Gen Z, or is it like somebody very, very old in their phase right now, what kind of behaviors are there, what kind of theories can be related around it. Again, as I mentioned, some kind of forums or communities where you can get online reviews, or Play Store or any other platform. Last is NPS. For the folks who don't know, NPS is Net Promoter Score. So to find out if the user or customer that is currently using my product is going to promote that product to any other friend or family or anybody known, is how I find with the help of NPS. If I have a good NPS, healthy NPS score, I could know that this other person will be sharing this app or this product with the other person. So this is like user data. Second is like product level data. How my product is performing in the market. So how the funnels are looking in, what is the flow, what are the number of steps in that flow, maybe hurdles in the flow, all kind of metadata around it, session times, number of session users per session, or sorry, number of sessions per user, how are my daily active users, how are my monthly active users, uh, if let's say how much they are interacting with the product, what are the conversions numbers, how it is helping or how it has improved those numbers with the help of a new feature that I have put or bug fix that I have done. So this is all product level data. Bounce rates. So if the user has landed on my product with very good marketing, very good look and feel, but they have bounced back because I was not able to satisfy the needs of it. I have not able to do the justice of the requirement of the user. Again, same for the adoption rates, how the adoptions are working, the abandonments are working. And if your product is more like uh, nuanced version and you want to calculate, you can look at the heat maps where the users are spending more of their time, where what area or region of your product is getting more eyeballs. That is where the product data helps in. And third is the market research level of data. So this is like where you can get the actual data, or where you have to work with the proxy level of data, where you have to work with extrapolations, where you have to work in this direction. So some kind of competitor analysis I have to do, right? That is very, very common right now. If there are very less things that, no, like I'm not saying like very less things, but it's uh, difficult to come up with something new without doing some competitor analysis. Has the competitor done that? How is that going out with the person? Is it going to help me also in the process? Is something that I would also want my product to go into that direction? Again, brand positioning. If my brand is in this particular segment of the industry or this segment domain of the industry, on the basis of market research, I can know ki I can expand to this direction as well. So if I'm in the X domain of the industry, then Y and Z are almost comparable, relatable domains. I could expand myself. I could position myself that I am in the niche segment of X only. I don't want to have anything about the Y or Z. Again, consumer insights, but at a market level, not at a product level. So how the consumers are doing, what are they are looking for, and everything around that part. This is slightly different because this is this is looking at the market level, because the competitors have come into the picture, the regulations have come into the picture, the global functionality has come into the picture. And last part is the segmentation, and it's very very important that you do a proper segmentation. And I think so, because you cannot just look at the whole pie and take good actionables, but you segment out of them. This is the segment that I would want to focus on. This is the segment that will give me most yield. This is the segment that is contributing majority of the market share, right? That's why segmentation is important. This demographic I would definitely want to target. This demographic is already out of my market space. So that's why segmentation helps in shaping a good product. Let's say you want to launch a product and you want to do some geo fencing around it, only 3 4 regions. Then you can definitely do and make it more generalized or regionalized in a way where your product is with the help of languages or some kind of very good UI elements that are very very specific to those regions. So how segmentation helps in you creating a good product and doing justice to the users. So yeah, these are more like qualitative and quantitative data, and the quantitative data will somehow yield you into a form and give you some qualitative data, and uh, will make you move in that direction, right? Cool. And this is like my favorite slide out of it. This is why it is very very important slide. I have often seen, at least in my initial or beginning years, this has been the case. But I have often seen people using data and not understanding the difference between correlation and causation. This is a very common case. This is where I see a difference between a product manager and a good product manager or a great product manager, because they know that this data where I am seeing a correlation out there, or this is just a causation. If you are really into the right space, you know how changing this thing will cause a change in this thing is just a causation. But the correlation comes into picture where if you have changed one thing, that is going to relatively change, let's say by a factor of x or y, to that variable b, to that very situation, right? So as you can see in the graphics as well, like how things, what our causation is, like they are not directly related by a factor of something, but they are caused because this happens then this happens, right? Like, I think why this is very important slide, and there there could be a dedicated segment just based on this part only. I'm still learning to this date. I will not say that I'm master of this part, but this is where you draw the line that this data what I'm getting is just a correlation, or this data I'm just getting is just a causation. How is this going to shape up into my product altogether? So you can take data into your theories, your hypotheses, and everything, right? But understanding that data has some correlation or causation with what you are actually looking for will help you create a better product, right? If there is a correlation, you can directly attack at that number and you can get a multiplier x, and you will see some effect right away. But it's just a causation, then your whole theory will change right away, and you have to think in a different narrative. You have to actively work in a direction, what is causing this so I can do this, right? There could That is why these things happen, right? uh, Cool. I think I am at the end of the session right now. I hope I was able to share much more insights around it. How data is helping me shape up new products at this scale, where whatever product that I am working on is a 5 year old product, which is in 10 to 100 stage. Still, we look at data and try to improvise on daily basis. That is the core objective of it. So yeah, I will be open to questions. I will be open to doubts and things that you want to answer.
All right. Yeah, thank you, Sarthak, for that session. It definitely was informative to the point that how how PMs need to use data and how to efficiently use data. I think that's more important because in current world, like there's like so much data available, so you really have to be careful on which data you want to pick and choose and how you want to
Right.
leverage that piece, right? So,
Right.
say from that standpoint, definitely it was an informative session.
Mhm.
So let's look forward to if there are any questions, and then let's try to address that as part of our Q&A session. Okay, so the first question being, how do you infuse data and insights into the product improvement process?
Yeah, I think a good question. So, how to infuse that into product improvement process? So, how I look at it, there are two ways you can improve the process, improve the product. So, process is generally if there are n number of bugs or if there are n number of features that will act as an improvement of the product.
Right,
How data will help me is that, let's say if I'm building some feature and that is going to give me some x amount of yield, and while fixing a bug will give me some y amount, I have to just find out that x is more important, y is more important,
right,
how much time or energy that will require for to uh, get that x amount of yield or y amount of yield. And it has to be continuous, because I have seen people, and I am myself guilty of that process, but adding on new features and improving that product right again and again is just one part of it. People tend to forget that what to data to look at. There
right,
was,
right,
as for my example, there was one product that I was working on. I was overlooking a funnel for a long period of time, and then I re-looked at 6 months difference. I definitely know that I don't want to improve the process right away. I want to find out why this drop is coming in. I found out there were two bugs causing this. I improved the product right away, and without introducing any new feature, without introducing anything that my competitor or anything is doing extraordinary, I just solved two bugs, and that resulted in a significant jump over the product. Right. So again, it's part of what I do is I look at those daily numbers and monthly numbers at weekly level or monthly level, whatever the product is in form, and whatever the next cycle of improvement comes into picture, I always saved some time from myself to look at those data or the insights that I've drawn. It could be something that could be helpful in improving the process or product.
okay, okay, all
Right.
right, it makes sense. Okay, let's move to the next question. How to ensure the quality of the data. So I think this points to the original discussion that we're having. Like, there's so much data around. There's so much data out there. How do
Mm-hmm.
you pick and choose which data to use? And if you have already decided, or if you have chosen any set of data, how do you ensure that it is up to a particular set of quality, right? Because if it's misleading, then your entire process then gets led into that direction, right? So how do you
Right.
ensure that quality?
Right. I think we are at this stage that we are generating uh, a large amount of data every day, and
Right.
we are seeing that that data is getting captured at every moment of time. And generally, whatever the things that you are looking for, there is some kind of data around it available with you, but you cannot be very certain that this data is a good quality data or that is going to give me some very good insights, right?
Mhm.
Um, so how I do is you can look at the source of the data, because again, data acts as a source of truth, but where the data is coming on is also very important.
Right.
So reliable sources can help you with that. So what are reliable sources? If let's say if I'm looking at my product data, so how is those events getting fired, or if that things have been configured in right way or not. If let's say I'm looking at user level data, who has captured their data, what kind of things they have made, like assumptions they have taken in place, or what kind of segment they have targeted for this data specifically. If I know all these asterisks around that data, I can ensure the quality of it. Let's say if somebody has very uh, calculated the data or collected the data around a very specific region or a demography, and not have mentioned to me that and just put it to me as a global level data,
Right.
it could shape up to wrong decisions right away. So
Correct.
just getting those right asterisks around it, what has been the target segment, or what kind of the data has been driven with, what was the reason, time, or whatever the different things you can think around the meta part of it, will also help me in ensuring the quality. Third part is more of a gut feeling and the proxy or secondary markers. So there are always gut feelings that are involved. There are always secondary markers that are available, that this funnel does not look good.
Right.
This data is not what I'm seeing on daily basis, what I'm not observing. This is on the hunch of it, but this is also helpful. If you are getting that feeling, definitely there could be something wrong with the data, there could be something wrong with the source. You can double check, you can find the other alternative source, you can try to ensure and take it to the grounds right away to just double check uh, what the data has been presented to you. Yeah.
Okay. So basically, like, then the metadata becomes a really important part in understanding the quality,
Right.
and basically then that helps us in taking the decision. But that comes later on. But just to
Right.
ensure the specific quality points, I think then the metadata, to your examples, to the couple of examples that you pointed out, I think
Hmm.
the metadata then becomes a really key factor in that.
Correct.
Yep.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Do we have any more question? Let's see. Okay. How is product analytics different than product metrics, and how do we leverage both? So as a PM, so then how do we leverage the analytics part and the
Hmm.
metrics part combined?
Hmm. Right. So, fair enough. A very interesting question. How I see it is, product analytics is working in day out, working with those numbers.
Hmm.
But how you might see those numbers in a very different way. You will be able to come up with very different insights. In and out how your product has been built from ground up.
Right.
So let's say analytics will come back to you and see that there is a 20% drop at this stage, or let's say the conversion numbers are declining on Sunday. They could come up with very good insight, and that. But as a PM, it's that the user behavior is that Sunday people are not doing this thing, so there are very high chances this could have happened. Or for a fact that this is the friction point of my product, so I assume there will be always an expected 20%, 30% drop at this part of the funnel.
Right.
So that is where the product manager thinking comes into the picture. And again, analytics is tracking n number of events, n number of data right away. So the day you launch a product, there would be 10, 12, 13 events, 15 events around it, with very, very small feature, right? But how you look at metrics, why it is very different, because metrics are very special few things that tells you that how your product is actually performing. Is it successful product, or is it a failed product?
Right.
Is it a product that needs more attention, or this is in autopilot mode? That's why metrics are important. So analytics is more around looking at a lot of 10 different tables, 10 different sources, and combining those, and based on that you give some insights. But metrics is like 3 4 different things about this product, that I launched this product to increase my retention numbers, but what I am seeing is it is not increasing my retention numbers, or but increasing my acquisition numbers. So this like, at acquisition, retention, conversion, these are like what the primary metrics come into the picture.
Right.
That is why they are very different. How to leverage them both? So how to leverage is something which is very, again, specific to your product. If you are in a very specific phase that you want to do some improvements, then you will definitely look at those metrics, how those metrics are performing. Are they doing justice to your product? Do you want to continue working on this product, or want to make a different product because these metrics are not shaping up to what you expected?
Right.
Or analytics come into the way, where they will help you design what new features you can come up with, what is the thing that is a open market space for you, that you can explore and you can increase your zone with. They can also come up with different insights around it. So how I see it is, very product specific thinkings can be derived out of product metrics, but analytics is more around 360-degree holistic view, up and down, every kind of view, what different things have changed in your product, has started affecting you, how government guidelines or how your competitor has started affecting you. These are the things that analytics will rather give me more detailed information, or I would say exhaustive analysis around.
Okay. So is it safe to say like the product metrics then becomes a marker to understand like whether your product is successful or not successful, or whether your product is growing or not, and then
Mhm.
analytics will is more around, as you said, like how the competition is doing and what you are doing, and maybe where the pain points are for a user registration or any other process, right? So maybe analytics does that part, and the metrics is basically just to make you understand that yes, this is a successful product, or this is a not a successful one.
Yeah, I would put more this in this way. Like product metrics is going to be give me a quick glance about how my product is working actually. If these
Okay.
are not up to my expectations, I would definitely look at the analytics, how or what things have broken or what has affected this huge spike, or like something on the positive or negative side. Whatever happened on my product metrics is
Hmm.
going to give me a way to move into analytics side. If my
Got it.
metrics are working fine as expected, I wouldn't go too deep into analytics part of it, as long as they are working as expected or they are growing on in their phase, right? If there's
Okay.
something very wrong with going with the metrics part of it, I would move to the analytics part and go deep dive. So like metrics is like the superficial layer, and the analytics is more like a deep dive what you do with the data.
Got it. Got it. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Makes sense. All right. Let's move on to the next question. All right. What's your go-to tool that helps in performing analytics on usage and customer journey?
Uh, yeah. So interestingly, I am uh, not a very pro tool person. Like for me, I think Excel works the best. So Excel has been
Right.
working around the world with everybody. I know, like it cannot do everything that you want to do, and that's where the data analytics folks or data science folks come into the picture.
Right.
But
Right.
for my go day-to-day basis or just go to analysis where I could do things, I could derive insights right away without creating any dependency on any person, is Excel tool for me. I don't have a very special uh, pro kind of a tool for me, because I generally want to look at quick insights in a way. If I see that there I have a hypothesis right away, or I have a theory in this way, I would definitely go to my data analytics person and look at 2 years, 3 years worth of data, or maybe go neck down into it and look at all those things. And again, that data is going to be shipped into me in a CSV or Excel format, right?
Right.
So for me, that is the tool, or that is the software that I use mostly. But and for me, there is not a preference. Internally, we generally use, for most of the companies that I have worked on, they generally have their in-house tools, or they are using some third-party software that is optimizing for them, or that are help for
Right.
dashboarding and everything.
Right. Yeah, I guess like that. If it's not broken, then why solve it? So like that's how like Excel comes in. Like
Yeah.
Excel is still a very powerful tool for your analytics and for your metrics purposes. So then, what do you
Yeah,
what?
for me,
Right.
it's like
Right.
reinventing the wheel. So why do you want to
Right.
reinvent the wheel?
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. All right. Let's have one final question, and then we can wrap up. What are the factors to keep in mind while trying to get accurate NPS score data by users? Hmm,
Hmm.
interesting.
Yeah. Uh, I think how NPS works is that you know that users are, or your customers are looking forward to promote your product or not.
Mhm.
But if you are not, if you're just asking will you promote this product or not, it's not good enough, I think. Even if you're a promoter, you should ask like what is it actually that you makes you like your product more. Is Was it like UI UX, like UX flows of it, or was it like the UI design that looks very good to you? Was it something which makes your process very simpler? Was it something that there is no competitor product out there that could do something what my product is doing? To know the positives, and also on the flip side of it, to know the negatives. Why, if somebody is not promoting your product, what could be the potential reasons? Because just knowing that I have a good NPS score or a bad NPS score is not an actionable. Why that NPS score is bad for me? Is it something that my flow is not going good? Is it something my latencies are too high that the user does not want to wait? Or uh, there could be n different reasons, and you cannot definitely work on n different reasons. You have to pick
Right.
one and two, pick and choose and move around. And for that picking and choosing, I wanted to ask very specific questions that cannot be leading questions, that could have multiple choice questions, that could have some textual based questions, but I definitely want to ask two, three more questions, even if that guy or a person is a promoter or a demoter for me. And how I maintain the accuracy of it is how you look at the larger sample size. If you are not exposing this question to enough of your users,
Right.
you are not getting to the larger size. So as large as the size possible, I would get more accurate data around it. For example, a million of users are using my product, and I'm asking this question to the 10 users does not make justice to it. But let's say if I ask to hundreds of thousands of users, that would be very close to what millions of users are actually thinking.
Right.
So closing on that part of it, closing to the larger sample size, will give me more accurate data.
So it's more about yeah, as you mentioned, like coming close to the sample size. Then I think then you get the most accurate result of the actual question that you're trying to ask.
Yeah, it's more around touching the larger sample size and also keeping the diversity in place. I cannot just look at 10% data and very specific demographic or very specific
Right.
region of that. So I should be very it should be the more the random user that I'm touching with my NPS question, it will be better for my product, because that's how I'm going to get more staggered result, which will give me some actionable. Because if a all the users from region X are thinking this, I'm going to shape my product accordingly. But that could
Right.
not be the sole reason what exactly everybody would be looking at. So that's why I want more staggered questionnaire putting in front of the customers from different region, different demographic, and different whatever base or what I would target. And again, two or three follow-up questions on base if you're a promoter or demoter. That will give me right actionables. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think that's it's. This has been a great session, Sarthak. Thank you for organizing this, and thank you for answering all the questions.
Mhm.
And hopefully this has been beneficial to all our users in trying to, and especially aspiring PMs and who are all currently in their PM journey, like
Mhm.
how to transform this data into their own product, into their own product groups or into their own product mindset, and how to leverage analytics, how to
Mhm.
leverage data and improving their overall product for their specific set of users. So thank you, Sarthak, for this.
Mhm.
And if you have any last comments or remarks, feel free to share that.
Sure. Thank you so much, Raj, for inviting me for this platform. I'm so glad to share my learnings with the audience out there. It would be great to know that if it is well helpful for the audience, and I am sure that I was able to do justice to your time. So yeah, it would be great, and I'm looking forward to get more such great products in the market. I want to get more people into the product space, and they are taking right decisions for the users. They are doing justice to their job and doing their part in the best way possible. So
Right.
whatever they're working with, and definitely looking forward to more such amazing sessions with for the audience. And the work that you are doing, it's phenomenal, and looking forward to more such amazing events for the audience out there. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Sarthak, for the words. And all right, thank you for that. And I think that's all we have for now, and we'll sign off. Thank you, and have a good day.
Yeah, thank you everyone. Have a nice day. Bye bye.
Thanks. Bye.